Shouts out to you, King Matthew. See if I can get some fog off of there. Get some fog. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Like to say good afternoon to all the brothers and sisters out there in social media land. This is indeed a great day to be alive. We should rejoice and be glad in it. And why do I say that? Because life seems to be one of the number one things that we take for granted. Oh, you ain't heard it yet. Well, it ain't just one. Actually, this is about to be the third one. Because as we stated before, it seems like out of all of the people on the earth, our people are struggling the baddest or the worst when it comes to marriage. We're struggling the worst. And why do we say that? Because when you look at the penitentiary or the penal system, and you look at the numbers of who's mostly occupied, when you look at the death rate and the crime that's being committed against each other, and then you factor in the relationships that Negro men have with Negro women, when you factor in the numbers of single parent homes and the numbers of fatherless children, see, we winning. We winning in all of those areas. Yep, we winning in those areas. All of those areas that are dealing with destruction, where family is concerned, we winning. We leading the pack. We leading the pack. We leading the pack. You know, so when you look at abortion, we leading the pack. We leading the whole world in all of those areas. And so, and it's an assault on the family itself. And I don't know what it is, but it's almost like we don't have no idea how to keep the family together, how to stay connected to each other. Well, quite naturally, that's why we're looking at marriage from so many different angles. Now, yesterday we looked at marriage from the standpoint of the damage that fornication causes. And most of the brothers and sisters, when they do get married, it'd be fornication. It'd be a sin that brought them together in the first place. And the Bible say fornication deceives your mind. And so you start out fornicating with somebody and it deceives your mind, and then you end up married to each other. Well, you wasn't thinking straight. You wasn't in your clear, right state of mind. Now, that's one of the reasons why a lot of the marriages fall apart, because they don't start right. You see? And so like we saying to our brothers have to understand that they have a God-given authority to rebuke the spirit of fornication. Because if you can't rebuke the spirit of fornication, then how are you ever going to find the woman that is for you? If every woman that you find that's for you leads you into fornicating, then your mind will stay continuously deceived. And then you find yourself walking together with somebody and you both fooling yourselves because you didn't enter into it in the way that you were supposed to. And what happens is that the relationship either deteriorates. And so you go from one woman to another woman, or you go from one man to another man, but you never understand what's at the root of it and why you can't keep repeating this process. It's because you have to put your hormones in check. And if you're ever going to see what's right for you, you're going to have to see it without sexuality. Because once sexuality enter play, your judgment is clouded again. Fornication, there again, have deceived your mind. And it felt good and it felt wonderful and you moved good and all of that. But at the end of the day, You was deceiving yourself. And you try to go and get married and live a life together only to find out that, man, I made the wrong decision. I made a bad choice. So we dealt with the fornication part yesterday, and we also dealt with one of the things that come against marriages is not being able to allow the individuality a place in marriage. Marriage is made up of two people, two individuals that come together and start living their life together. But now, if you don't allow space for the individuality of the mate to have freedom to be the individual that they are, then that's another reason marriage fall apart. Because your mate wants you to be what they want you to be. And what it is that you're really trying to take the individuality of the other person away. Well, why you got to do it like this? Well, you know what? I'm going to go out here and I got a plan. I'm going to do it like this. Well, why you got to do it like that? Why don't you do it like this? I don't want to do it like that. I want to do it like this. Oh, well, that don't make no sense. Well, see, these are the type of foolish fights that take place with marriage when we don't respect the individuality of the other person. Same thing with the man is with the woman. Well, the woman got her own way of doing things because she's an individual. She got her own thought process about how she gonna go about getting it done. I thought I told you to do it like this. You should have did it like this. I would have did it like this. This is how you supposed to do it. And it falls apart. Because nobody can live like that. That's a miserable life. When you rob and rape me for being who I am. And I got to walk on eggshells. I can't be who I am. I can't express my own thought. I can't say nothing without you butting in. Ask me how I know, because in 20 years of being with one person, you can go through a lot of these things. So, 1 second. Don't go nowhere, y'all. So, in 20 years, you can see a lot of these things. This is where our understanding comes from. Because as long as we remain connected and stay together, then the Father gives us wisdom to show us these things. And we're only able to speak on it. It was a beautiful thing to have my wife on Facebook Live yesterday. You see? That's not something that she does often, you know what I mean? But every so often, I have to reach for her. Hey, sweetie, I need you over here, you know what I mean? We need to do something on this particular topic. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's nothing planned, nothing pre-programmed. Because I'm already prepared. That's my wife. She got her own thought process. She thinks for herself, you know what I mean? And she don't have to think in the way that I think she ought to think. She don't have to respond the way I think she ought to respond. You understand what I'm saying? She is not me. When she think her thought process, and when she responds, she's going to be responding based to a group of people or that can comprehend what she is saying and not just what I'm saying. And it was a beautiful thing. But we went through some of those same fights, Well, why you got to do it like... I don't want to do it like that. Why you just can't be content with how I want to do it? Why every time I turn around, you trying to tell me how I ought to do something that I want to do? And it's the same thing. Well, I just can't... You don't let me say nothing, or you know what? I just be quiet, because anything I say, it ain't going to be right. We've been through all of those fights. And you have to stop and you say, you know what? That hurts my heart that my wife would feel like that. That she got to be quiet because anytime she open up her mouth, I'm going to be piggyback riding on the back of what she say. And that ain't right. You know what I mean? That'll make a person shut down on you. I know these things because I've been married to my wife for 20 years, and my wife been married to me for 20 years, and we experienced some of these same things. And I had to take a step back and say, wait, I don't want my wife feeling like she don't have no voice. I don't want her feeling like she don't have no say-so. And one day the Spirit just started dealing with me and said, hey, listen, you have to allow your wife to be the freedom to be the woman that she is, that I made her to be. And at the same time, that became something for me as a husband to work on. But at the same time, it also became something that helped my wife to see, hey, you don't have to always question him about how you want to do it. Even if you don't think he's doing it right, you got to give him the freedom to do what he wants to do without you bothering him. You respecting each other's individuality and giving each other the space to make the decisions that you would make as an individual. It don't take nothing away from the marriage. You know what I mean? So we dealt with those things about the differences in marriages. Those differences that usually cause friction and destruction can often be turned around, and those things that seem like weaknesses can now be where your strength comes out of. You see? So it's the strength that comes out of the fact that sometimes when my wife and I first got together, I wasn't doing no clubbing and stuff like that. I was past that, you know what I mean? All I did was roll. I cleaned my whip up and I want to ride. And for a spell, she rolled with me. Time we get off, we ride, we roll. And we roll down one end of the strip on the weekend, through the next end, listening to our music. And then one day I came in on the Friday and said, come on, sweetie, you ready to ride? And she looked and she said, I don't want to ride no more. And that was the end of that. You see? And every now and then I used to get kind of upset. Well, dang, man, you don't want to ride nowhere, you know what I mean? I used to have a woman that wanted to smother me to death, you know what I mean? And I didn't want her riding nowhere, you know what I'm saying? Now that I can deal with a woman hanging with me, now you don't want to hang with me. So either way it goes, it's like you still was tampering with the freedom of the right of the individual, you know what I'm saying? So you can't take away what somebody else, the desire somebody else have in their heart. So, you know, so we dealt with those differences and how we bridge those gaps between the two people. How you understand, the old folks used to say the opposites attract. And so in most cases, with every married couple, you have an opposite. You have somebody that's stationary, that don't do much, don't go out, don't go home, don't go nowhere. And then you have somebody that's outgoing, you see. But the outgoing person can't now have an expectancy that the stationary person is something wrong with them because they not outgoing. But this are some of the things that we deal with, you know what I mean? So we show you how we bridge the gap when we give each other the space and the freedom to be individuals within the marriage. That's where your compromising come in, you see? So sweetie know that I'm upbeat, that I'm outgoing, that I'm go, 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 go. So she know that I respect her individuality. I know you're a homebody. You like being at home. You like to just clean during your off time and, you know, whatever. But she know how I am, so she had to give a place. Okay, now I can't tell him I can't go all the time. There are going to have to be some times that I'm excited about going. You know what I mean? And then it's the same way with me, you know. If I know that she's more stationary and I'm more outgoing, I got to understand, hey, listen, I can't go this time. Hey, I can't go down the road with y'all this time. Hey, I can't go out this time. You know what I'm saying? I had to make some time to be stationary with my sweetie, and we're going to sit around here and watch movies, or I'm going to cut the grass, and I'm going to clean up, and I'm going to play some music around the house. This is how you bridge in the gap. Now, those differences that we dealt with on yesterday and today, we're going to deal with something a little bit different. Because we're still dealing with marriage. And see, we're not focusing on marriages staying together. We're putting emphasis on things that make the marriages fall apart. Because those are the lessons that we need to learn. We need to learn how do I not allow my marriage to fall apart. And so those are some of the things that that we're doing. So let's get, I thought I brought that. Oh, I got it over here. Let's pull up scripture right quick. Shout out to all you brothers and sisters out there in social media land. Let me do this one thing right quick. And y'all just bear with me for a second. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. But y'all know this is the Facebook Live video where we deal with real life. So at any given minute, something might jump off in the real life. Now, let's go get the scripture. Because what we're going to deal with now, we're going to pull some scenarios out, because what we've been looking at all the different things that come against the marriage and destroy a marriage. If brothers and sisters understood these things that come against marriage are only tests that the Most High send into that. If you really understood that, then no matter how bad the winds start blowing, you could stay in the same house and stay connected. And once everything calms down, then the Father show you what he was doing. You see? So let's go here. We're going to deal with something that will literally choke the life out of a marriage. And if you're not aware of it, and you're not aware of what the scriptures say not to do, and you're doing it, you might be blaming your mate. But you might be the one that's responsible for the destruction that's coming in the house. So let's go. We got any married couples on the line? If we got any brothers and sisters that's married on the line, I want you to put a 7 up in there. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah. We're gonna do some precepts with this too. Now we're gonna look at one of the things that's contained in the letters, in the Pauline letters. This is a piece of noble content. Yeah. Now, it says now here in the King James Version, this would be 2 Thessalonians, 3rd chapter, 11th verse. It says, "For we hear that there are some who walk among you in a disorderly manner, not working at all, but are busybodies." And then we got another one in. We're going to go get the next one, and then we'll show you where this meets up at. Now, this one is going to come from 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 15. We're still talking about marriage. But even if you're not married, you may be divorced, you may be single. It don't matter. Because this marriage, when we're dealing with marriage, this pertains to everything. Because if you're single, then you are now called to look to the lover of your soul, which is the Most High. You see? And now you can't be cheating on him. And you're going to be single at heart. You got to be living a righteous life too. So that's a marriage on that sense. But so this is not just dealing with people that are married. Some people might say, oh, he's just talking about the married couple. No, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you, because if you're single, then it's the Most High's will that you find your mate to live your life with. And if you are single and you're hearing these videos, this is like armor that you can use to build yourself up so that you can be ready to receive a wife or a husband when one do come. Now, 1 Peter 4th chapter, 15 verse says, "But let none of you suffer as a murderer or as a thief or as an evildoer or as a busybody in other man's matters." One of the things that choke the life out of marriages is when people can't mind their own business. You see? People can't mind their own business. I don't want to hear nothing about nobody else's business. I don't care what happened to sister such and such. I don't care what they going through. Listen, baby, you need to call such and such. You know, no, I don't. That's their business. They got to find a way to work it out. They serve the same God that I serve. You know what I mean? Let us just stay focused on us. We got our own issues that we need to work out. You know what I'm saying? Let us not find ourselves suffering. And there are many marriages suffer because as soon as the two parties are having a problem that is beyond their ability of reasoning or comprehension or don't go away instantly, the first thing they do is they start blabbing off and sharing their business with other people. And the other people that they sharing their business with, 9 out of 10 times are busybodies that will go out and start shaking. Yeah, girl, you know what? You heard what her husband did, man. You heard what his wife did, man, on me, man. If I was you, man, girl, you know, you shouldn't even, I wouldn't take that if I was you. He said, let us not suffer. Some of our marriages are suffering for this one reason. And you saying that it's your mate, but really it ain't your mate. It's you suffering because you can't mind your own business. You on the phone talking to your girl. Girl, what did he do? What did he do? Or you talking to your boy. Man, what happened to him? What? You can't mind your own business. And when you can't mind your own business talking about somebody else, then next thing you know, you're talking about yourself. Yeah, man, I've been through that, man. I'll tell you about my wife, man. My wife ain't, man, every time I turn around, my husband, he's at it again, girl. Girl, person you talking to is a busybody. She don't have no husband. He don't have no wife, but you pouring your business out. He said, let us not suffer as busybodies in other men's matters. A busybody is a gossiper. And a gossiper is somebody that'll take your business, talk about it to somebody else, and then they'll talk about it to somebody else because birds of a feather flock together. And gossipers get together with gossipers. Ain't no gossiper going to come to somebody that don't want to gossip. Hey, man, we don't do that gossip stuff around here. If the person ain't here to defend themselves, let that conversation go. We know the Bible say, talk not of other man's lies. And if thou can, without offense, don't say nothing. If you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing. But when we start talking about marriage, this is some of the stuff that'll choke all the life out of marriage. He say C, she say secondhand garbage. Girl, you know, I seen your husband. Well, you know, such and such said she seen your husband and he was down there such and such and such, and you waiting on him to get through the door. Where you been? And if he don't tell you exactly where he been, now you think he hiding something or she hiding something. Man, I seen your wife rolling out such and such. I've seen her. Yeah, I did. Hey, where you at? Where you at? What you doing? What are you doing? See, this is some foolishness. Ain't nobody in the world can tell me nothing about my wife. Ain't nobody in the world gonna be able to tell my wife nothing about her husband. And ain't nobody gonna bring their garbage and dump it off in my living room. And my wife ain't gonna bring nobody's bag of garbage and bring it and drag it into the house. You know why? Because I'm the priest of my home. I'm standing at the guard. I'm guarding my door for anything that comes in my house. And it don't mean that I'm a lion or I'm a tyrant in my house. It just means that that's my responsibility as a man. You see? And it says, talk not of other men's lies. Let's go and read that. Let's go and read that. See? Because when you look at some of our marriages, the man, the husband, and the wife, they don't even have nothing to talk about unless they talking about somebody else. You see? Unless they talking about something. See, I don't want to watch no gossip shows. I don't care nothing about no love and hip hop. I don't care nothing about no housewives and none of that. Now, if my wife want to watch some of that stuff, she got the freedom to watch it because that's her individuality. That's what she wants to do. But I don't entertain it, period. I ain't entertaining it. And then she would know not to talk to me about it. But then again, there are things that I might watch that she don't entertain. And I know not to talk to her about it. But the point that I'm making is that being a busybody in other men's matters mean that we are consumed more with the things that are going on outside of our house than we are with the things that's going on the inside of our house. As long as we dealing with things that's going on the inside of our house, we are all right. If I don't like something that you doing, I'm talking to you about it. If you don't like something that I'm doing, you talking to me about it. But we talking to each other in our own house. See, we talking to each other in our own house. So we're not being busybodies. We are hashing out our own differences in our own marriage. But when you got the married couple, that's what they do. And you got somebody out there telling you, man, please. You know how many sisters it is whose marriage done been destroyed because their husband done messed around and slept with what the girl called her best friend? Well, how did the best friend get that close to you in the first place? That's because you was telling her all your business. And she was a busybody in your matters, in your affairs. And because of that, it's the same thing. And I'm not saying with the woman, I'm saying everything is interchangeable. It could be men. There are many men that have lost their wives to what they thought was their best friend because they couldn't keep their mouth shut about what was going on in their house and what was going on with their wife. And you steadily talking to your boy about what's going on with your wife and this and that and the other. And secretly, your boy is telling your wife that. He said, let us not suffer as busybodies in other men's matters. Everybody need to be concerned about their own. And these are some of the things that come against marriage. And if you know that this is one of the things that your marriage is going through and dealing with, now you see it's in the scripture. Because when people get married, they say we promise to stay together as long as God helps us. And one of the ways that God helps us is that he gives us instruction that comes by way of wisdom in his word. And if he tell you Be not busybodies. Do not find yourself suffering as a busybody in other men's matters. Basically, what the Most High is telling you as a married couple is that, husband, you should be minding no other business except your wife. And wife, you should be minding no other business except your husband. And husband and wife, you should be minding no other business except the business that's going on in your own home. Anything that's outside of your house is not your business. And there are different ways that we can get entangled with other men's matters. You see? There are different ways that we can get entangled with that. You see? Because there are some things that can happen naturally in life that can hit a marriage and take a toll on a marriage. Let me give you an example. My wife's mother fell ill. She's been gone 2 years now. But she fell ill about 5 years before she left. And after she threw the lit cigarette butt in the trash can and almost caught the house on the fire, we said, that's it, sweetie. That's it, sweetie. You're going to have to take care of your mama, and we'll just make it, and we'll do it the best way that we can. You understand what I'm saying? You can always have somebody on the outside coming in, talking. No, you get out of here. You get out of here with that. You get out of here with that. You get out of here with that. Or you can other ways you can see, you can have other family members who, if they fall down or fall victim to something, you know what I'm saying? I'm your brother. I'm your brother. I'm your sister. I want to be compelled to help. But the reality is, that ain't my business. My business is my house. That's my house. My husband, my wife, my children, them are my responsibility. If something's going on in your life, you got to deal with the same thing the same way that I deal with it. You got to learn how to trust the Most High. Now, I can't become a busybody and leaving the things in my home to go and deal with things that's going on in somebody else's home. Somebody's marriage is on the rocks right now because some husband or some wife have left the responsibility in their own house to go and deal with the responsibility of a loved one, of a brother, of a sister, of a friend that's in trouble, that have fallen down. But at the end of the day, you have become a busybody in other men's matters because you can't change nobody's life. They have to learn to depend on the same God that you depend on, and you ain't God. And while you being a busybody in other men's matters, trying to help somebody out of a situation that they have gotten themselves into, you might be the next one on the dying list. It might be your marriage that dies. And then who's going to help you? These is what the Bible tells us. And I know how it is because I've been there. Well, you don't want me to help my family? No, it's not that I don't want you to help your family. Your family need to learn how to help themselves. And I'm not talking about me in my situation per se. You see, because whoever is close and loved by my wife is going to be loved by me. But as a husband, I draw the line to determine who's going to receive what and whether they're worthy to receive it or not. I ain't just going to be jumping out there leaving what belongs to me to go and try to assume the responsibility for somebody else. That's because it goes against the scripture. It said, let us not bring suffering upon ourselves by being busybodies in other men's matters. So I have siblings. I have sisters. I have brothers. I have nieces. I have nephews. And I love them all dearly. I have children. And I love them all dearly. But the reality is that as a father, I have done what the Most High instructed me to do. I've trained my children and I raised them up in the fear and admonition of the Lord. And I've turned them loose. And now they have to be responsible for their own lives. And for me as a father to now start going to try to meddle in my grown children's business, I become a busybody in other men's matters. And what's happening to my house while I'm doing it? If I give my sisters and my brothers the right instruction to live by, and they don't live by, and God sends calamity into their life, as much as I love them, I can't start being a busybody. Oh, well, I got to assume the responsibility. This is my sister. I ain't nobody. It ain't my responsibility. My responsibility is to my home. Everybody got to say, and I know as tough as that sound, it can get down to where the rubber meet the road, because God don't care nothing about that. Whosoever don't forsake mother, father, houses, and land, children, he said he ain't worthy to be counted as no disciple of mine. He said, whosoever is willing to forsake father or mother, that means that you don't meddle in my business and I don't meddle in yours. And when crisis hits your life, don't expect me. My wife ain't coming second fiddle for nobody. I ain't putting her on the back burner for nobody, because that's my primary responsibility. Whosoever forsake not father and mother, houses and land. I ain't going to get tangled up in nothing that's going to bring friction between me and my wife. And if one of them got to go, well, baby, I'll see you later. Whosoever forsake not mother and father, sisters and brothers, houses and land, the things of this world, he ain't worthy. He said, but whosoever is able to draw a line of distinction between the responsibility that God had given you versus the responsibility that God had given somebody else. Who is able to draw the lines of distinction to understand when you have crossed the line and crossed into a place that you have no business being in. Whosoever is able to understand, draw lines of distinction, and forsake those things that don't pertain to the business that God had given them. He said, I'll restore to them 100-fold in the kingdom. We're talking about marriage. These are things that happen to real marriages every day that people are messed up about. You see? When it comes down to a mother and a daughter, or it comes down to assuming the responsibility for an ailing parent, a husband's supposed to be the first one standing there to tell his wife, don't worry about a thing. We got her. We're going to take care of your mama. Your mama ain't going to no nursing home. We'll do it if we got to do it 24 hours around the clock. You take 12, I'll take 12. If we got to walk them by the hand, change the diapers, whatever it is that we got to do. That's your mother. That's who you love. I love you. To see, you see. But you know what? You got some people out here that can't do it. And the reason why they can't do it is because they have become busybodies in other man's matter. Man, I just can't do that, man. I ain't going through that. I ain't going. Girl, please. My mama-in-law ain't coming to live in my house. No. Well, imagine what that's going to make your husband feel like. Imagine what that's going to make your wife feel like. And imagine what it made God feel like. Because it was God that told you, honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the earth. You see? So there's a difference between when you're doing the will of the Father versus when you become a busybody in other men's matters. Being a busybody in other men's matters means that I'll focus on everything that everybody else is doing. And my marriage is the one that's in trouble. It's on the rocks. You see? So that's one of those areas that we're going to have to take a look at. Shouts out to you, big cousin Kurt. That's one of those areas that we're going to have to take a look at, because if we don't find a way to start keeping these marriages together, we have dealt with fornication already right out the gate. Brother, listen, you got to toughen up. You got to toughen up. You got to toughen up. You got to get your hormones under control, or you'll never find the woman that God means for you to have, because you can't overcome that hurdle. And you got to be the rebuker of the spirit of fornication that overpowers a woman. You see, you got to be a rebuker of that. And then when you are able to rebuke the spirit of fornication, you can see a sister for who she really is. If you rebuke the spirit of fornication in a sister, that sister can become a woman that's ready for a wife because of you. Oh, baby, I know how you feel about me. I know you want to give it, but I can't do it, baby. I can't do it, because that ain't right. You too much woman for that. You know what I'm saying? I can't fornicate with you, girl. I could never be the man that you want me to be. I'm married. How can I lay down with you? I can't give you what you need. I can't be the man for you that you're supposed to have. You better than that. You got to get over that. Pull yourself together. Don't you understand who you are? You're fearfully and marvelously made, created in God's image. You're you're a wonderful one. You got the power to change the whole world. You can't lead a man into fornication because it deceives your mind. And at the end of the day, both of your life is going to be worse off. When a man start dealing with a woman like that, he'll transform that woman's thinking and he'll show her how great she is. You know why? Because he's operating in the spirit and in the power of the Most High. And he have a God-given authority to rebuke a spirit of fornication that's on a woman. And then when that spirit of fornication come out, that woman sees clearly enough to know. She said, if this man could feel that way about me, this is the man that I need to hook myself up. This is the man that I need to follow. He wouldn't rob and rape me right then and there. This is the man that'll care for me until the day that I die. But every man that I was able to lead in the fornication, he laid down with me. He itched like a dog, got up and went on about his business, and that was it. So I done been through 10 of them because of this reason. So we dealt with that. Now we're dealing with the marriage and being not busybodies in other men's matters. You see, when we ain't minding our own business at home, we leave room to get tangled up into some other things. So let me go and read another scripture for y'all. Let's go read another scripture for y'all. You see, when you turn on the TV, this is one little show. This is one little show that comes on. I watch a lot of YouTube. I just surf YouTube. But I noticed that you got a lot of blogging shows out now. And the blogging channels, I don't know how they do it, but they can be talking, and then they got 5 or 6 people that's talking on their little cameras. They come in. And I sat there one day and I said, hey, babe, you know what? I said, these ain't nothing but like gossip shows. I said, because you know what? These people ain't talking about nothing but somebody else's business. Or somebody else's business. I just happened to be coming through here and flip, and they just happened to, some sister was on there going off. And sister was telling me, y'all don't have no right. Y'all don't know the sum total of my life. Y'all don't know what I deal with on a daily basis. Well, apparently, all these people was on here, and they was talking about this one chick based on something that she had done. But that chick came on there, and she set all of them straight. And I said, well, don't these people understand? They going against the scripture because they're busybodies in other men's matters. And guess what I was seeing? I was like, ain't that a lesbian chick right there? Sweet. He said, yeah. I said, ain't that dude a gay dude? Ain't that what is that? Is that a girl or a boy? I said, where in the world do they find room to talk about anybody? But that's the condition of the life. And that's the condition of a lot of marriages. When we are not preoccupied and consumed with the things that are going on within our own marriage and in our own home, that is condition that we are in. And that is the condition that the Negro family is in. And unless we find a way to make people understand how important marriage is and how important it is for people to stay together, the Negro family is already down to about 25%. That means 25%. 25% of all the Negroes in the world, 25%, less than 25% families have a male, a Negro female, and their Negro children. Look at the rest of the nations. Look at the Chinese. Look at the Asians. Look at the Africans. Look at the Arabs. Look at the Europeans. Look at their families. Their families are still thriving. Their families are still thriving. And when it comes down to us, we got all of these excuses of what the man ain't, or what the woman ain't. But you understand, the man and the woman, you the problem. You are the problem. Because you going into something that you don't even understand how it's supposed to operate. You cannot go into marriage without the instructions that God gives in order for it to work. You see, these other people, they doing what they doing. It's going to work regardless. They're not up under no rules, no regulatory matter. That's why they can be two men and two women. They can be a man and a little child married. Anything goes in the world that they live in. But the way that the Father built us, our family structure, was the number one thing that was supposed to springboard and dive off into the world as righteousness. And we don't seem to get it. So that's one. Now, so if you ever tell your wife this, or wife, you ever tell your husband this, they might not like it when they first hear it, but you ain't never got to say it again. Because God's spirit of conviction will be the one that reminds them of it. And when we can get to places like this, we can see wonderful things. Watch this. Watch this. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus, also known as the Book of Sirach in the Apocrypha. And it reads, whether it be a friend or an enemy, do not talk of other men's lives. And if you can't talk without offense, reveal them not. You see, in the Most High's eyes, he said, listen, I don't care if it's a friend or it's an enemy. Do not exert energy into talking or being consumed or preoccupied with what's going on in other people's lives. And the reason why, if I'm married and I'm at home and I spend most of my time on the phone talking to somebody about what somebody else did, what somebody else said, what somebody else, and you know what, whether you're a husband or a wife, he said, what you hearing that's outside of your home ain't going to have an impact on your home in a good way. He said, do not talk about other men and women's lives. Whether they be friends. They could be friends and be doing wonderful. Oh, man, he doing so good. Oh, that's great. Oh, this is why. He said, listen, don't waste your time talking about other men's lives. Bring your focus on your own life. Because while you're talking about somebody else, your life could be the next one up on the list to die. And you've been completely distracted from the things that you need to fix in your marriage because you talking about somebody else's. Oh, they such a good couple. Oh, I like the way they do more. Oh, they say that. You know what? You could be focusing on yourself. Instead of talking about what a good couple somebody else is. You look in the mirror and ask yourself, how can we be the best couple that God wants us to be? Oh, man, that don't make no sense the way she treat him. That don't make the sense the way I knew she shouldn't have never been with him. I knew it. And y'all sitting there, yeah, but I knew it wasn't going right. And y'all sitting there and you don't even know. One of you going to die tomorrow. And you ain't even fix your own issues within the framework of your marriage. He said, so don't waste time talking about other people's lives. You waste the time talking to each other about your life. And what you can do as a married couple to better strengthen your relationship. You know? It's a reason why these things are in the scripture. So that's the first part of what we're going to deal with this video. Being a busybody, a meddler, Always in somebody else's business. You know what I'm saying? You know, always in somebody else's business, you know. Every now and then a wife had to tell her husband, babe, that ain't your responsibility. I understand you love him, and I understand what happened, but that's not your responsibility. You got no business walking around with a guilty spirit because you can't go over there and help them like you want to. That's not your responsibility, babe. That was the same way with me. I could tell her, hey, sweetie, I know you love them. I know them, you know, but they're not your responsibility. They're not your responsibility. You see? If it's parents, hey, they got children, hey, man, that's the children's responsibility. That's their responsibility, not yours. You see? If it's the opposite way around, if it's the parent and they got kids, hey, babe, them kids, they not your responsibility. I'm your responsibility. They not. You can't stop being responsible for your husband and start putting your responsibility over someone. That's their responsibility. But we don't understand that the Bible put these things in the scripture for a reason. And then when we try to communicate some of these things, sometimes we get mad or we get angry at each other because we feel like, oh, you don't want me to do this. Oh, you don't want, no, it's not, I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to do that. I want you to understand. And it don't matter how people feel when they hear God's word. God's word don't never feel good when it first comes out. But you say it because you know it's God's word. And then you let God do the rest of what He's going to do. And it's up to the Most High to bring people to the point to where they can see His word clearly. But they first got to hear it. So to my married couples, if you know that in your marriage, you and your husband have both shared the responsibility of being busybodies, talking about what other people are doing and falling apart in the process. And then when somebody tell, oh, go on with that mess, I don't nobody want to hear that. Now you mad at me, you arguing with me because you in somebody else's business and you done heard something that somebody else done said and now you done came back and I'm telling you, I'm not concerned about what nobody else is saying and you ain't content with not being able to pull it in my ear, so now we fighting about it. It happens all the time with the Negro family. And these are part of the excuses that we make as to the reason why our marriages can't stay together. We got marriages breaking up and it ain't even no infidelity involved. What kind of stuff is that? How you going to say that you're going to get a divorce and you don't want to be married anymore? Your husband or your wife ain't even went out and cheated on you. You thinking about something that's in yesterday somewhere and then drew all these conclusions in your own mind based on something that somebody else done said or something that you done heard and now you ready to throw everything away. You ain't got no evidence that the man done crawled up in nobody's bed. You ain't got no evidence that the woman is tipping around the corner, but you done went crazy in your own mind and now you making decisions based on a lot of dreams and things, crazy things that your head is thinking, and you ready to throw your marriage away. But you ain't throwing your marriage away. You're throwing God away because you can't throw the marriage away. You're bound to that as long as you live, whether you understand it or not. So if you're going to suffer, suffer for the cause of the Most High. I told the Most High that come hell or high water, I was going home every night. I told the Most High that whether it's good or whether it's bad, was better for worse. We got brothers and sisters that are leaving their mates when they get sick and get a doctor's report that ain't bad. When they faced with the responsibility of having to care for one another, they want to leave. That ain't marriage, man. That's foolishness. And this is why the black family, the Negro family, one of the reasons why the Most High said, and thou shalt be an astonishment and a reproach among all the nations. Because all the nations can look at us and can't even understand. They shake their head and they say, man, look at the way that they hate each other. They treat us with such great respect. They treat us with such great, so a sister will go and hook herself up with the one that raped her great-great-grandmother. and treat them with such great respect, even though when they get with their boys, she's still a nigger. And all the little nigger children are still niggers. And she'll treat them with the greatest respect. And the brother will do the same thing. He'll go over there and gravitate to a people that hung his great-great-grandfather and them in trees and raped his great-great-grandmother and them and threw their babies out there in a lake to be eaten by alligators. And he'll go over there and learn how to talk like them, put on some tight slacks like them and some penny loafers, a discolored bow tie, and walk around with his nose in the air trying to think that he is one of them. He'll treat them with such great respect but can't even muster up the strength to treat the woman of his own kind. You see? And because of that, the nations look at us and there's a shaking of the head. It's a complete, total astonishment. Oh, man, it's crazy. I can't believe it. Can you believe how the way I just can't believe it. After all of these 400 years and all that they've been through, look at how I just can't believe that he would haul up and do that to her. I can't believe that she would just treat them like that. You see, the rest of the nations look at you and laugh. And you know why they laugh? They laugh because they know that they have pulled a number on us. But it's not them that have pulled the number on us. We have pulled the number on ourselves. So that's one of the things that we got to look at. Being busybodies in other men's matters cause us to want to do what other people do. But in order for you to do something that other people are doing, you have to forsake what God wants you to do, be it man or woman. If you're a man and a woman and you got a husband and you got a wife, it is as easy for you to have a successful and productive and happy and joyful marriage as it is for you to march your butt down to some divorce court. There's 50-50 on both sides. The only thing is, on one side, the 50-50 is a lie. On the other side, the 50 is actually 100. Now, you do the math and you figure out which one we're talking about. So being a gossiper, being a busybody, not minding your own business is what causes a marriage to fall apart. And that's what you call an implosive storm. There are two kinds of storms that happen to marriage. One of them is an explosive storm and another is an implosive storm. And an implosive storm is a storm that comes by way of busybodies in other men's matters, whereby things on the outside now begin to put pressure on the inside and it causes the marriage to implode on itself. And we talked about the explosive storm. The explosive one was where you got people in the house that don't want to communicate, won't compromise, won't do nothing. And eventually it gets to a boiling point to where everything just explode. So we can stop them things from happening. Stop them from happening. Yep. So let's see. Let's go to something else. Let's go deal with another one. We're going to deal with the next thing that is like a number one destroyer of marriages. And this don't just touch men, it touch men and women. Because when we start moving into the area of adultery, there can be no adultery. There can be no adulteress without an adulterer. There can be no act of adultery that a man commits without a woman. Because a man can go and masturbate and that's not considered an act of adultery. An act of adultery, you have to have a woman. And in order for a woman to be an adulteress, she have to have a man. You see, she can do the same thing. She can masturbate and she won't be classified as an adulteress. But adulterer and adulteress are an act that takes place between the man and the woman. And oftentimes, a man that's an adulterer will get blamed for the destructive force that comes against the marriage. But the adulteress completely walks away scot-free. And that's in the Bible. Let me show you why the adulteress walks away scot-free. Watch. And what that means is when a woman that's married goes outside of her marriage, she walks away with no shame at all. Proverbs chapter 30, verse 20. It's a deadly, destructive force to marriage. Deadly and destructive. Let's show you. KJV, Proverbs chapter 30, verse 20. Such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eateth, then wipes her mouth, and says, I have done no wickedness. You see, because when a woman cheats or goes outside of her marriage, she is very strategic about it. And she is very justifiable about it. So there is no guilt about it. 9 out of 10 times when women go outside of their marriage and cheat, it is because they have gotten wind that their husbands have done it to them. Maybe have done it to them multiple occasions. Maybe have done it to them to the point to where their heart just became calloused and they said, well, you know what? I'm going to find somebody that will show me the attention and show me the affection that he don't. And when they go and cheat, or they go and lay down with a man that is not their husband, they get up with no shame because they feel justified. They feel like, well, he won't love me. He won't tell me I'm good. He won't tell me how wonderful. And besides that, I've caught him cheating on multiple occasions. So how is anybody going to stone me or how anybody going to judge me? Can't nobody stone you, sister, and can't nobody judge you. But God will judge you because he don't care what the other person do. You have accountability to him. He said, but this is the way of an adulterous woman. She'll find a way to justify her wickedness and then declare, I don't done no wrong. And a man can't come and approach her and with it and tell her what she's wrong about. Because it ain't gonna be on her. It's gonna get shifted to him. Well, I don't know how you gonna tell me something. You the one that was out there. You done been with this. You done been with that. Well, okay, so what? But does that make it right for you? If it didn't work for me, what make you think it was gonna work for you? Now, we dealing with the scripture, and we dealing balanced because we dealing with marriage. So we ain't just dealing with no sister. We ain't just dealing with no brother. We're going to deal with the brother and the sister both. Every time we enter into a place, we're going to enter into the same plateau and put them both on the same playing field. Time out for making all these excuses. If you ain't ready to stand up and be a wife, you ain't ready to stand up and be a husband, then go find the nearest cliff and fall off of it. Matter of fact, leave a woman alone, leave a man alone until a real woman or a real man step up and ready to do what God told them to do. Such is the way of an adulterous woman. She'll eat and wipe her mouth and declare, I ain't done no wrong. I've been married already before. Told y'all how when I got married the first time, I didn't have an idea. I was 20 years old when I got married. Knew nothing about marriage. Knew nothing about the word of God. Knew nothing about what I was supposed to have been doing. And all through the marriage, always had an extra woman on the side. But as I got older, as I started to mature, as I started getting in the word and stuff like that, my mind started changing. And when my mind started changing and I wanted to do right, it was too late. I had already created too much damage. Or I say, could it have been that it was too late for me? Or could it have been that she gave up too soon? Because when it came time for the adulterer to turn around and have a change of heart, then the other person became the adulteress who began to eat and wipe her mouth and declare, I ain't done no wrong. You can't tell me nothing. All the stuff you done did out there, you can't tell. I done made these babies. I done raised these babies. I done did this. Now it's your turn. You take the baby to school. You take them to work with you. You take them. You go home. You cook for them. I'm going out. I'm going to do this. Well, who am I? Who am I to try to stop them? Do you think just because I did it that it will justify it if you do it? No, it's not going to happen. And the same way that my life reached the breaking point and came into a hellhole, your life going to be the same way. It's going to reach the same breaking point, come to the same hellhole, and you will come to the understanding that there is no justification for being an adulteress just because your husband was an adulterer. Now, that was the woman. Now, let's look at how the brothers think. We deal with the adulteress. So sisters, don't cut the video off yet. Now we're going to deal with the adulterer. We're going to show you that both of you enter into the same place and have the same corrupt mind and do the same exact things in the eyes of God. And you can't blame nobody but yourself. And such is the way of adultery. Such is the way Yep. Watch this. Watch this here. Yeah. That's 23. Okay. This is going to be a good one. I got to find it first. So you sisters don't go nowhere. Yeah. This is going to be good. Let's go to Sirach, chapter 23. Let's go to Sirach, chapter 23. And let's look at this. Okay. Let's go here. Proverbs chapter 23, verse 18 said, such is the adulterous man who says to himself, who can see me? Darkness surrounds me. These walls hide me. No one sees me. Who can stop me from sinning? He is not mindful of the Most High. He only fears human eyes that can see him. He does not realize that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, observing every step taken and peering into hidden corners. He is the one who knows all things before they exist. Now, you see the same? Such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eats and wipes her mouth and say, I have done no wrong. But such is the way of an adulterous man. He says within himself, it's dark. No one sees me. These four walls, they're going to hide me. He said this man is only concerned about physical human eyes that can see him. As long as don't nobody see him, in his mind, he ain't done it. He said, but what that man, what you don't realize, brother, is that the eyes of the Most High are 10,000 times. You can't go out there and look at the sun with an unflinching eye without going blind. Now picture this. You in the darkness trying to cheat on your wife. You done took her clean on the other side of town, in a hotel room, in the boondocks somewhere, in the backwoods somewhere, where can't nobody see, far away from friends and family, and there is no human eyes that can see you. And you think that you are safe when you go back home. What you don't understand is that the Most High's eyes are 10,000 times brighter than any sun that's in the sky, seeing through everything, peering through every hidden corner, every hidden crack, every crevice, every place that you think that you can go where darkness and walls will hide you. The eyes of the Lord are there beholding the good and the evil. The eyes of the Lord are in the spider's head that's hanging in the crack on the wall. The eyes of the Lord are in the fly's eyes that buzzing around the room. The eyes of the Lord is in the cat that was outside of the hotel room. The eyes of the Lord is in the bug that may be crawling around in the room. The eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. So you fooling yourself. What are you going to benefit? What do you think you're going to benefit if God see you? If God see you, it don't make no difference whether don't nobody see you. And it don't make no difference if everybody see you. If everybody see you and feel like they're ashamed of you, and God see you and feel like he's proud of you, I'd rather be concerned about what God see than over what people see. But this adulterous man has wickedness in his heart, just like the adulterous woman have wickedness in their heart. They're not concerned about what God had instructed them to do. They're only concerned about what people see, what my husband don't see, what my wife don't see, what my family don't see, what my friends don't see, what my people on the job don't see. But when you going to start getting concerned about what it is that God see, because God see everything. There is no, where can I go to escape the presence of the Lord? If I take the wings of an eagle and fly to the uttermost parts of the earth, I find that he's there, adulterer, adulteress. If I take and descend into the lowest part of the earth, I find that he is there. If I make my bed in the pits of Hades and say to myself, surely the darkness have covered me, I find that the darkness is as daylight to the Most High. Henceforth, there is no place that I can go to escape the presence of the Most High. So what would be the purpose of cheating on your husband, adulteress? What would be the purpose of cheating on your wife, adulterer? What would be the purpose? A wet butt? A wet butt? Ejaculated willy? You think God gonna be pleased with that? That's why the things fall apart. And you're arguing and you're fussing. Well, it wasn't my hat. If you didn't see my hat and you didn't see my drawers, then it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I know you see, it wasn't me. Kwame made the song. It wasn't me. The blues singer made the song. It wasn't me. Johnny Taylor made the song. Who's making love to your old lady while you out making love? If ZZ Hill made the song, cheating in the next room. It was all about, but at the end of the day, every last one of them come out with the same thing. What was done to one was going to happen to the other, and both of you were guilty. Both of you were guilty. These are the things that cause a marriage to fall apart and crumble. And you're wasting your time. But see, what you don't understand is there's a hidden, unseen enemy that's coming against the both of you. While you're doing things against each other, there's an enemy. Because the woman, in order for her to become an adulteress, she has to go and find a man that is not her husband, who knows that she is married. And any man that knows a woman is married and he lay down with her anyway, that man comes straight from Satan as an agent to destroy the marriage. And any man that lays down with a woman, He has to lay down with a woman that is not his wife, and that woman that is not his wife knows that he has a wife. And by that standard, that woman now becomes an agent that is sent by Satan to destroy that marriage. And both of you have fallen victim to demons. Oh man, I don't know if y'all really felt that thing. You're falling victim to demons. And many women have perished because of this. Many men have perished because of this. They have lost their lives and been put to death and had real funerals because of adulterous affairs and adulterous situations. And I know what I'm talking about because it's in the scripture that it would happen that way. You just don't know it. So let's go and see. Let's go and read it. The day you decide to get the divorce is the day that you stop trying to please the Most High. Let's go. Proverbs, 5th chapter. Woo, I got a little hot there. Just calm down, son. I'm trying to walk through this thing. This is forget what you heard about marriage part 3. Forget what you heard about marriage part 3. My son, attend unto my wisdom. Hear me, brother. Hear me, brother, that goes out and you know you got a wife. You ain't cheated on her yet, but you can't go out without gravitating towards some lust. You can't go out without having a flirtatious spirit. Well, let me tell you about something that James said in the 2nd chapter of James. He said, let no man say that when he is tempted of the Lord. For the Lord cannot be tempted, neither do he tempt any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away and enticed by the lust of his own mind. And when lust hath conceived, it brings forth sin. And when sin is finished, it brings forth death. So there's some things that you better beware of, married brother, when you get ready to go out and hang out with the boys. When you think about going to your brother's bachelor party who's going to get married pretty soon, there's some things that you better be thinking about, because once lust have conceived in your mind, then the body ain't content until the act of sin is carried out. And I know that you love your wife, and I know that you didn't mean for it to happen like that, but you put yourself in a place because you thought you was able to handle it. But ain't none of us men no match for the agents of Satan. When that lust came, then it conceived in your mind. Your hormones start running wild. And next thing you know, the stripper that was for entertainer now is touching on you and doing things that she shouldn't do. And before you know it, you done accidentally stuck your willy somewhere that it wasn't supposed to be. But God don't have no mercy on foolishness. He who won't respond to the word will be caught up in a web of deception and have his life destroyed. Y'all feel what I'm saying? And you're taking it from somebody that knows what it's like to be tangled up in a web that you can't get out of because you done let your hormones slip. He said, my son, attend to know my wisdom, and bow down your ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. Have you ever wondered why, brothers? Have you ever wondered why you can find brothers saying things like, well, I can just talk to her. I can just talk to her. Man, I can't talk to my wife like that. That's because her mouth is smoother than oil. It's smoother than oil. It moves like butter when you start dealing with a strange woman. You're talking about a woman that's not your wife. A woman that's outside of your marriage is a stranger to you. And so King Solomon is giving our brothers that's married some advice on how they're going to stay married. Stay away from this woman. This woman's mouth is so smooth that from the minute she opened up her mouth, she can stroke your ego and tell you things that'll make you turn the putty in your hand. She'll tell you how good you look. Tell you how good you smell. Tell you how bad you are. Tell you how she wished she had a man like you, knowing that you got a wife at home, and all she waiting on you to do is fall for it. All she waiting on you to do is fall for it. He said, for the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. Why, sisters, do we seem like the Bible is always dealing with the women? I tell you why. Because no man has the ability to control a woman in that capacity, but a woman has the power to manipulate a man and bring him into the place of fornication, a place that he'll start changing. He'll turn his back on God for her. That's why. That's the power of a woman when she's operating in a way that God ain't telling her to operate in. It don't mean that it's nothing, a blanket on all women. This is just particular situations that we're carving out to show you, because adulterous affair cannot happen unless a man meet the woman whose words are smoother than oil. And adulterous affair can't happen because a man can go to the nightclub, but he can't go and pick no woman and say, hey, I'm going to lay down with her. I want to cheat on my wife with her. He can't do that. Only way a man can cheat, there has to be a woman. It's what the scripture is saying. The scripture is telling the man, we're telling your husband about the woman that he need to beware of so that his love can be always to you. The lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb. Her mouth is smooth as oil, but her end is bitter as wormwood. Sharper than a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death, and her steps take hold on hell. Brother, lest you should ponder the path of life, lest you should start playing games with your life, you need to understand that this woman, her ways are so movable that there is no way for you to know them. Hear me therefore, O children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. Remove thy way far from her, and come not near the door of her house. And if you do, there are many brothers out here that know, that fit into it, lest you give your honor to others, and your years unto them that are cruel. You want to know what that means? You have to be in a situation to understand that you'll give your honor to others. Because you have stepped outside of your house into somebody else's house, and you don't even know these people. And these people are cruel people, because if they was righteous people, they would tell you, hey man, go back home. You married. You ain't supposed to be cheap. He said, but you'll give your honor to others. That means that all the honor that you will bestow, that you will have, you have now found yourself in the place of kicking it with strangers, into the place of spending your money with strangers. And now you helping a woman over here pay her phone bill, pay her light bill, pay her gas bill, and you giving your wealth and your honor to people that's cruel, to people that's doing the same thing, to people that's trying to get you to go into a deeper hole. He said, you'll give your honor and your years to them that's cruel, and strangers will be filled with your substance. I tell you these things because this particular passage changed my life as a younger man, because it is where I was at. I'm working. I'm at the top of my game. One of Kansas City's finest hairstylists. Got massive popularity. Known in the clubs. Known in the skating rinks. Known all over all the schools. Known everywhere. And now I can't be at home with my wife. But guess what? Everywhere I'm at, it's rotten and ragged. And I'm buying drinks for people. And I'm paying people's way. And I'm doing things for people that care nothing about me. I'm hanging with women that's got people hooked up with her, and I'm doing things for them, and I'm wasting all of my substance outside of the house that God gave me and told me to be responsible for. And when these scriptures start reaching out and grabbing me, it said, boy, you better get yourself together, because you're in a place that's detrimental and it's hazardous, and you're on your way to finding death if you don't come out of here. He said, lest you give your honor unto the cruel, and strangers be filled with your wealth, and the labors, and your labors are be in the house of strangers. That means you should have been taking your money home, which I didn't in my first marriage. You should have been taking your money home, giving it to the wife, telling her make sure that she paid the bills, make sure that the kids got school clothes, make sure that the cars and everything had, but you wasn't doing it. You're taking the money that you're making, and you're running over here with this mistress that got all these wicked people behind her, and you're spending all of your stuff over in there. I know I'm talking to somebody, because I can't be the only one that done played the fool. The great songwriter said, everybody plays the fool, and there ain't no exception to the rules. The problem is, can you realize when you done played the fool? I played the fool. I was giving my honor to strangers, and I was giving my years to the cruel, because I wasn't going to get those years back that I was wasting my time. Strangers' houses was being filled with the wealth that I worked hard for. Strangers was being filled with the wealth, riding in my car, riding on my Daytons, riding on my Vogues, putting wear on my Cadillac, on my Mercedes-Benz, on my Jaguar, putting wear on all the wonderful things that came as a result of my labor. Should have been shared with the wife that I was married to, with my children, but you didn't have time for that. You only wanted to do something different. But the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, and his sun rays beamed down on me one day, made me pick the Bible up. First time in my life that I ever picked the Bible up to read it for myself, landed right here on this page, and this page began to speak to my life about the condition that I was in, because I was a 20-year-old man and I was married, but I didn't know what marriage was. I like to believe that the Most High had mercy on me for that. And I like to believe that the Most High have mercy on somebody else that find themselves in that condition. He said, unless your strangers be filled with your wealth and your labors of being in the house of a stranger, and thou will mourn at last when thy flesh and thy body is consumed, and say, how I have hated instruction, and how my heart despised reproof. And I will not obey the voice of my teachers, nor incline my ear to them that instructed me. Lest when your flesh is consumed, you see, I ain't ashamed of the life that I live. The life that I live have built me and molded me into the man that I am right now. I know what kind of man I was when my flesh was consumed. It was me when my first wife was 9 months pregnant, with my middle baby, with my third child. In my flesh, I had to go and tell her that I contracted something, because now my flesh is being consumed through venereal diseases and things like that. And I like to think that was the straw that broke the camel's back, because that woman could never recover from that. That's what I did. I can't speak for nobody else. So for that marriage to be dissolved and to be irreconcilable, it didn't escape my mentality. It was completely understandable. But I said, I'll fight tooth and nail with every ounce of life that I got to hold on to it. And if I couldn't hold on to it then, I can understand why it failed. And I accept full responsibility for the reason that it failed. You see, I was married, but I didn't know what God was requiring. This is why we do the videos. Many marriages are going to fall apart because we don't know what God is requiring of them. And unless somebody got the balls enough to get out there and tell their life story and couple it with the scripture and show them what God got to say, then there can be some changes made. Marriage is the most valuable thing that this world has to offer. A husband and a wife is the only one thing in this world that rightfully belongs to you, that God gives you. Everything else is going to be worthless. The house don't belong to you. It belongs to the land that it sits on. That's why the government don't care who occupies it. Everybody got to pay property taxes because it don't belong to you. The car don't belong to you. It belongs to the earth that it came out of. It's going to rust. It's going to corrode. It's going to eventually end up back in the junkyard and go back into the dirt that it came out of. The children don't belong to you. They're yours to be responsible for, but they'll grow up and live their own life, and then one day you're going to die, or they don't belong. The only thing that you got in this life that belongs to you is your wife. Hear me, brothers. If you don't have a wife, you don't have nothing. And if you got a woman and you don't deem in your life that that woman is good enough for you to make a wife out of and marry, you should cut her off. Because what you're doing is you're hindering your own life and you're clogging up your own flow. You're holding on to something that you know don't belong to you. And while you're holding on to that which don't belong to you, you are stagnating the process and stopping the thing that is rightfully yours from crossing your path. And my daddy used to tell me, if a woman is good enough to lay down with, she should be good enough to marry. And brother or sister, if you've been laying down with women or men and they can't muster up the strength to say, I'm willing to dive in head first, then that's not the woman. That's not the man that God got for you. Cut him off and trust God and get on your face and say, oh, thou that thou would send me the mate that I need to live my life with. It was you that said it wasn't good for man to be alone. It was you that brought me the woman that you wanted me to have, gave me to the man that you wanted me to have. You got to put your trust in the Most High, and you know you got a man, you know you got a woman that you ain't married. They bringing you into an act of fornication. They getting you to go against God. You got to muster up the strength. If you say that you love Jesus, Jesus is your Lord, Yeshua is King, you got to draw a line in the sand and say, I'm too much man to be anybody's play toy. You ain't gonna just be running up here, jumping in my bed. I don't know where you come from. You ain't my wife. You ain't nothing. Good God Almighty. Good God Almighty. You're going to have to do something, people. I got brothers. I got sisters alike. I got brothers out here, man, they so beautiful. They so beautiful of brothers. They so beautiful of brothers. And then when I see the type of people that come in their path, that don't want to treat them right, that don't want to do this, don't want to do what they should be, and the only thing that they want to do is just have somebody in their life that they can love, that'll love them back, that'll take care of them. But man, I'm telling you, when you know that you got something in your life, you cover up the head and the feet stick out. You cover up the feet and the head stick out. And you know that you done brought something into your life that it don't fit. You better get rid of it. You better get rid of it, because it could be the thing that bring a curse on your life. It could be the thing that cause you to be sick. It could be the thing that causes you to be depressed. It could be the thing that's causing the house not to have no peace, because we done brought something in there that don't fit. And we got to be willing to trust God. Say, you know what? I'm going to trust the Most High for the things that I need. So, it says that, you know, when your flesh in your body is consumed, then, when your flesh in your body is consumed, then you'll say, how I hated instruction. See, it wasn't until I did that crazy stuff right there. That's what I said. Oh, how I hated instruction. And I didn't obey the voice of those that was instructing me, because one day I had a friend of mine. I never will forget this. I had a friend of mine we grew up with, we skated with. I had a friend of mine named Ron Brown. And Ron Brown was married, and he had his wife, and they've been married all the way since they was in high school. And Ron Brown came to me one day, right outside the beauty shop, and he said, hey, Meech, he said, man, you my boy, and your wife is cool with us and this and that and the other, and man, I just don't think you should be doing what you're doing. And you know me? Oh man, I got this, man. I think you just need to just mind your business, you know what I mean? Let that alone, you know what I mean? How I hate it. When I see these things in the Bible, it was talking about me. It was talking about me and my situation and what I was going through. It's talking about somebody right now and their situation and what they going through. They just didn't know it in the Bible. But the same way God led me to the Bible, God leading you to the Bible by allowing me to read it and then show you the real life example that's coming out of it. He said, how I hated instruction and my heart despised correction. I have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined my ear unto them that instructed me. I was in almost all evil in the midst of the congregation and the assembly. Going to church. Going to church. Shaking people's hands and all of that and trying to pretend, and everybody knew what I was doing. I was in all evil in the midst of the whole assembly. The Most High began to give instructions on what marriage was supposed to be. Drink waters out of your own cistern, running waters out of your own well. That means that God will give you what's rightfully yours, and that's what you partake of your blessings out of. He says, let the fountains be dispersed abroad and the rivers in the streets. Let them be thine own and not strangers with thee. Let thy fountain be blessed and rejoice with the wife of your youth. Let her be as the loving hind and the pleasant roe, and let her breast satisfy thee all times. And be thou ravished with her love always. Come on, brothers that's married. This is what the Most High telling you. This is what the Most High telling you. Drink waters from your own system. Waters from your own well. The waters that's being dispersed, let them be thine and thine alone. Not for strangers with thee. Whatever is coming out of your wife, it's for you. Whatever is coming out of you, it's for your wife. He said, rejoice with the wife of your youth. Rejoice with the one that I have given you. While you have strength in your body. While you can still move. While you can still play. While you can still dance. Rejoice with the wife of your youth, and be thou ravished with her love always. Why, my son, will thou be ravished with the stranger? Let's see. And why will thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman and embrace the bosom of a stranger? Why are you going to be ravished with a stranger and embrace the bosom of a strange woman? You laying up in a woman's breast, don't know where her titties be. You laying up in a woman's arm, don't know who just got through laying with her. You don't know what she got, what she carried. You don't know what kind of spirits that she got attached to her, what kind of lust that she got running through her. You don't know what her motive is. We read it earlier that her ways are movable. When you start pondering the path of life, going against the will of God, a woman's ways are so movable that you can't know them. That's why one minute they can be in a good mood. The next minute, something that happened. It's almost a place of schizophrenia when you're dealing with a strange woman. You know absolutely nothing about this woman. She only been around 6 months or a year. She can't shake a stick at a woman that you've been laying down with, getting up with for the last 10, 15, 20 years. You know that woman inside and out. That is the wife of your youth. That is the one that knows you. The one that will wipe your ass when you can't do it. The one that will take care of you when you can't get up out the bed. The one that'll fix you food and come to your rescue and come to your aid is the same one that you walk out the door and go and embrace the bosom of a stranger that got on Daisy Dukes or shorts that her booty cheeks are hanging out as a shameless woman that should be classified as a dog. You're gonna embrace her and lay up in her bosom, brother. Why wilt thou embrace the bosom of a stranger and lay up on the breast of a strange woman? That's what God asking you. Watch what happened. For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he ponder all of his goings. His own iniquities shall take the wicked himself, and he shall be holden with the cords of his sin, and he shall die without instruction, and in the greatness of his foolishness he shall go astray. So when we dealing with marriage, it ain't about the women. It ain't about the men. It's about the women and the men. Because in order for a man to fall, there has to be a wicked agent sent from Satan pretending to be a woman to cause him to fall. In order for the woman to fall, it has to be a wicked agent sent from Satan pretending to be a man that causes her to fall. But at the same time, both of them that's falling is causing the greatest establishment that God ever put in the earth to be an exemplification of his righteousness and glory. It is causing that institution to fall down. It's far bigger than what I think as an individual, than what a woman thinks as an individual. It is far bigger than any of that. Any woman that don't have an ideal to allow a man to come into her life and rule over her, she ain't fit for God's kingdom, because that's what God requires of her. When she get her mind right and go and pray to God and say, oh, that you would give me a man that could rule over me the way you told him to. God will give you a man that's chasing after his own heart. And as he rule over you, he'll rule over you in such a way that'll cause your life to blossom like a flower, blossom like a rose, blossom like a lily. Your every need will be met. You'll wake up out of your sleep having cold sweats thinking about your husband. You'll think about him all day at work. You'll think about him at night. You'll be glad to do anything that you can do for the man that God sends to rule over you. That's something that you got to want. And when a man get his self right and consecrate himself to the Most High. You gave me my genitalia. You gave me my hormones. You gave me my testosterone. But Father, I'm going to give it all back to you in exchange that you will one day look at my life and make a decree. It is not good for that brother to be alone. I will send a helpmeet, one that will come alongside, that will walk side by side, that will tell him that he's strong, tell him how bad he is, tell him how handsome he is, tell him, come here, baby. Let me fix your tie. Come here, baby. Let me burn that off your sleeve. Come here, baby. You got some lint in your hair. Come here, baby. Clean your nose up. He'll send you a woman that'll help you. Boy, you need to go in there. Come on, baby. Take them. You know you can't go out the house. Them shoes ain't shined up. They got a spot on them. You know you got to be looking good when you represent. See, God will send a man, a woman that will cause him to shine like new money when a man can consecrate himself. But that's something that we got to do. See, it's time out for looking at all the bad things that wicked people and people that wasn't walking by no instruction had to say about marriage. It's time to start listening to the people that know that marriage is glorious, that marriage is good, that are some wonderful things. It's time to start listening to people that you can see them as a married couple, flowing like a hand and a glove, like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, like milk and cornflakes, like hamburger and french fries. That's what people need to see when it comes to marriage. But we've been listening to the wrong people, so you got to forget what you heard about marriage. Go on and come on into this yard, come on into this room, and let us scrub and brainwash you. Let us brainwash you. Let us wash your brain clean of everything that you heard about marriage, what you thought a man was supposed to be like, what you thought a woman was supposed to be. Come on in this room and let us scrub your brain. Let us scrub your brain. Let us do what God told the man to do, to let wash the woman with the water of the word, that he might present us to himself as a glorious church, a glorious picture, perfect image of a man created in the image and the likeness of God, that was stripped for half of himself when he made Eve, then brought them back together and said, I will decree them to be what they was in the beginning. No more shall the two be twain, but they shall be one flesh. Presented to me. That's what marriage is. Marriage is like a dance. Marriage, that's what it is. Yeah, it may be turbulence, but that's what marriage is. This is a husband. This is a wife right here. This is a husband. This is a wife. One following the other. One following the other. Every so often the husband is out front. But then again, you find the husband following his wife. You find the wife following. That's what marriage is. Because it ain't about the husband or the wife. The husband and the wife are one being that was created in the beginning. And God made Adam in the image and in the likeness of God.
upright, fully perfect. Behold, all Israel, the Lord thy God is one, and beside him there is no other. That's how Adam was made. But then one day God looked and said, there is no mate for Adam. It is not good for Adam to be all one, just like me. I know what I'll do. Instead of him being all one, I ain't got to make woman again. I put woman in him already. I'll reach in there, pull the woman out, and then I'll bring the woman to Adam so that he can have a mate. And when they get a mate, as they flow together, those two will no longer be two. But it takes each one of them to bring completion to the other. The two being one don't mean that you're not individuals. The two being one means that the one man who's missing half of his body cannot find completion until he get the right woman hooked up with him. The woman got to understand that you were created from something, and until you get back hooked up with the thing that you was created from, you can never be whole, but we both fulfill each other. That's marriage. That's marriage. Who wouldn't want that? If God said in the beginning it's not good for man to be alone, what makes a man think that he can live his life without the woman? And if you got a man and you try to live your life without a woman that can't hook herself up and dive in head first and say, for God I live, for God I die. Take me, baby, I'm yours. Do whatever you want to. If a woman can't say that, get rid of her. Sister, if you with a man and you desire a man, do you desire that man to be your everything? You have given him all of you and he's still holding back? Get rid of him. Because you're only stopping the man that God has for you. He can't come because his spot is occupied. She can't come because her spot is occupied. But I dare you to get that spot empty. And watch what happens. Now let me show you something. Sirach, chapter 25. Come on, brothers. Because you can't keep falling for the okie doke. You see? And you can keep your marriage together. All you got to do is learn how to recognize that agent that Satan sends pretending to be a woman. Yep. It's the same way with the sisters. Everything is interchangeable. So I ain't talking about the sisters. I ain't talking about the brothers. I'm talking about marriage and the part that we play. Sirach chapter 25 verse 25 instructs a man because he is the gatekeeper of his home. Just take nothing away from a woman, but it instructs a man because all women are not righteous. The reality is that our sisters have to be able to accept and digest the fact that we have some wicked women in this world. And when we start talking about wicked women, all the sisters in the world go crazy. But then you can understand because you know that there's some sisters out there that are tip with your man, and you got to be willing to step up and draw a line of distinction between what's wicked and what's righteous. Give no passage. Give no water or no passage. Neither a wicked woman freedom to gad abroad. If she goes not as thou would have her to go, cut her off from thy flesh, and give her a bill of divorcement, and let her go. You see, people think that the marriages breaking up and falling apart are all about sexuality. Some marriages are going to break up and fall apart, and it's going to be biblical, and the man's going to be justified because his God-given right to lead and to be the priest of his home is not taken seriously because he hooked himself up with the wrong woman. But this is how the Most High helps a man when he start coming in contact with his instruction. When you know you done hooked yourself up with a woman that is not being what she's supposed to be,
God says, if she goes not in the way you would have her to go, then you cut her off and give her a bill of divorcement. Brother, this don't apply to you. If you the sluggard, if you lazy, if you a tyrannical, radical lion in your house, this don't apply to you. This applies to the man that's being obedient to the things that the Most High have instructed him to do. And while he's trying to walk in righteousness, he has a woman that won't do anything that God is requiring of her. And she'll stagnate the growth of a man. And God said, rather than let a woman turn you against me, I'm going to tell you this. If she don't follow you while you trying to follow me, you cut her off from your flesh so that I can replace her with the woman that will follow you. So, and that's about going to be the end of the marriage, unless the Most High show me something else. There are many things that we can cover, many life experiences that we have. Some people been married 40 and 50 years, and they can share far more life experiences than I can. They may not be able to know, not find the scripture to be able to do it, but as for me, I hope that these videos help somebody. Peace and blessings be upon all of you. Oh, you know what? Know what I wanted to do? This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something before I ended the video. I wanted to do something before I ended the video. So let's see if I can do it. Let's see if I can find this. I like to end the video with a song for our married couples and a song for our brothers and our sisters that are single. Let's see. I wonder why I don't have no. I don't know why. Hold on. I'm going to do this like this. I notice my iPad don't have no sound, but I want y'all to listen to this song right here. It's such an encouraging song, a beautiful song. I'm going to play it for y'all. Just to end the video with. Just to end the video. Yeah. Play it for y'all. One second, here we go. We're gonna play it for y'all. I want y'all to hear this song. It's a beautiful song, it is. You know when something's good, cause come on, man. You're taking forever. Me and my sweetie, we cut the rug off of this song right here.
Been searching everywhere, I can't find no one quite like you. The way you make me feel, the way you make me smile,
Everybody never think that they can find the love that's for them, but you can find it. This brother did.
And I dreamed about you, dreamed about you, and I thirst for you. And you came along and filled me up with love. And even though my best isn't good enough for you, you still love me, never gave up on me. I just wanna thank you for the things you do. Crazy love, yeah, yeah, yeah. Never, oh, never gonna find it. You're so kind. Your love was so kind to me. All I know, you everything that I'm in, would ever want. Searched all over.
Keep on searching.
I can't find no one to love me like you do. You made me feel brand new.
This is what marriage is really like. This is what marriage really like. You find somebody that love you unconditionally, please. Ain't looking for nothing. Just love you. Just want to be around you. Just want to be with you.
So sweet to me.
Don't care what kind of car you drive. Don't care whether you got money or not. They just want you. That's marriage. That's marriage. Oh yeah, we got some brothers and sisters that feel like that. They say, thank you, Lord.
Brought me out of my mess, Lord. Everything you done for me. You made me a new man. Thank you. I thank you for loving me.
See, that's what marriage is. Marriage ain't about all that superficial stuff. You know what I mean? But some of that superficial stuff will teach you some valuable lessons. So that leads you in the right direction when you come to being married. You know what I mean? But when you get the right person in your life and you find out that they wasn't like the other people, that they wasn't around you for what you had or what you didn't have, that they wasn't on no superficiality, that they, they just wanted you, that they was kind to you, that they helped you overcome things, and man, I'm telling you, man, that is marriage. And that thing right there is something that's beautiful in the world. That's something that the whole world is missing. When you can find that in your life and you can stay connected, and just imagine what it's like when the next generation of children come up witnessing that. They already can spot all of the counterfeits in the world if they can get an exemplification of what it's supposed to be like. So forget what you heard about marriage.